Recognized as one of the strongest storms in the world, Typhoon Ragasa churned through parts of the Western Pacific and slammed into southern China, whipping up massive waves, triggering floods in its wake. After sweeping through the northern Philippines and Taiwan, Ragasa brought densely populated cities to a standstill in some parts from Tuesday afternoon before making landfall on the southern Chinese city of Yangjiang on Wednesday. The devastating calamity claimed at least 14 lives in Taiwan. The visuals on your screen showing the scale of the devastation in a small Taiwanese town after flooding caused by the barrier lake overflowed and washed away a bridge there. Taiwan's fire department saying dozens still remain missing. Residents in a mud-clogged area facing water shortages even as cleanup efforts continue. Listen to this.
We have to look for groundwater ourselves since the water supply is cut, those that are pumped out. Only that water is clean. We cannot use spring water. And other than that, we have to purchase bottled water.
The elderly in Taiwan are caught in the middle of that storm, trapped in their homes in some parts, hoping for peace to prevail. An 88-year-old man has been trapped inside his second-floor home for days after floods wrecked and blocked access to his family-run grocery store.
You have to endure it until I can go downstairs.
That's the exact moment when floodwaters crashed into a Hong Kong restaurant. 100 people were injured as the authorities imposed the highest typhoon signal, 10, for most of the day. Shopkeepers in China spoke about their hardships after the typhoon brought about a meter-tall flood waters through their front doors and damaged their merchandise as well.
Over $140 per half kilogram of this tea can't be sold. All of it has been soaked in flood water, soaked through to the inside.
In China, the typhoon displaced nearly 1.9 million residents in southern Guangdong province. Schools, factories, transportation services were shut down in about a dozen cities. Ragasa is now traveling along the southern Chinese coast towards Vietnam and has weakened into a tropical storm. However, the threat of heavy rainfall remaining for China, Vietnam and other parts of Southeast Asia. An alarming drug-resistant bacteria is troubling U.S. health officials. A new report from CDC scientists showing infections caused by a tough strain of bacteria driven by the NDM gene have surged nearly 70% in the last few years. What's even more concerning here is that NDM bacteria infections, which were once rare and were mostly linked to patients receiving medical care overseas, the numbers have jumped more than 5-fold in the country in just a few years. These bacteria resist most antibiotics, which doctors often use as a last resort in hospitals. But experts also warn those treatments may not remain effective for long. CDC researchers now warning that people may spread these bacteria within communities, and many could carry the bacteria without even knowing it. It can actually make routine infections like urinary tract infections far harder to treat. But what's really causing the rise? What's really happening here? Misuse and overuse of antibiotics playing a huge role, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, when the doctors, remember, prescribed antibiotics at a much higher rate. The report analyzed data from 29 US states that basically track antibiotic-resistant infections. In 2023 alone, they recorded over 4,300 cases, of which nearly 1,900 of them involved the dangerous NDM gene. Now, those numbers likely represent only a fraction of the problem here. Many large states, including Texas, Florida, New York, do not fully report or test for these infections, so the true national total could be much higher. Experts warn that without urgent improvements in testing, reporting and responsible antibiotic use, we may soon face a post-antibiotic era where even common infections become untreatable. 6 years on from the first outbreak in China's Wuhan, the truth about COVID-19 still threatens those who try to tell it. And authorities in China, well, they continue to try and silence them. Zhang Zhan, a reporter who live-streamed over 120 videos in late 2019 from Wuhan about overwhelmed hospitals, deserted streets, people living under strict lockdowns, has once again been sentenced to 4 years in prison by the authorities in China. She was first jailed in 2020 for allegedly picking quarrels and provoking trouble, quote unquote. Released in mid-2024, she was re-detained 3 months later and has now been handed another prison sentence, and she has had no outside contact since then. Now, it's important to note here, China is yet to publicly specify the activities that she has been charged for. The UN Human Rights Office and press freedom groups saying that she was likely rearrested and charged due to her social media posts speaking about human rights violations in China, and her case perhaps reflecting that when Chinese journalists deviate from what's considered the official line on COVID-19, the regime will take immediate measures to try and silence the matter. In the Reporters Without Borders World Press Freedom Index 2025, China ranking 178th out of 180 in terms of press freedom and the treatment of journalists. And that's just one place above North Korea. The international non-profit also saying that more than 120 media workers are currently jailed in China for the coverage of the initial period of the COVID-19 outbreak in Wuhan. At least 7 Chinese journalists had been detained. They had posted videos from Wuhan showing hospitals overwhelmed, supply shortages, and just the human cost of the lockdowns, basically. And nearly 6 years later, China's cracked down on COVID-19, raising more questions than answers. What is China still trying to hide? The Israeli Air Force has hit back hard. Less than 24 hours after a Houthi drone attack, Israeli jets have hit back with precision and force. Israeli fighter jets carried out deadly airstrikes on Yemen's capital, targeting Houthi military camps. Houthi-run Al Masirah TV calling it Israeli aggression, reporting explosions, reports in fact confirming blasts in the city. The attack happened moments before the Houthi leader was supposed to give his weekly televised address. And according to the Israeli defense minister, dozens of Houthi operatives have been eliminated in the Air Force strikes. The targets included the security and intelligence apparatus of the Houthis, including military camps, General Staff Command headquarters, security and intelligence compounds. However, this is not the first time that Israel has attacked Houthis in Yemen. In the past as well, Israel has attacked the Iran-backed militia, targeting Yemen's Hodeidah port. Further, in March this year, the US, along with the UK, had launched a large campaign of air and naval strikes against the Houthis before it agreed to an Oman-brokered ceasefire in the month of May. So the Israeli attacks, a response to the Houthi drone attack on Israel's port city. Yemeni drones pierced through Israeli defenses, leaving Israel's Iron Dome exposed like never before. Our next report telling you more.
It hit the city like a fist. Not intercepted, not diverted. A weapon straight into the heart of an Israeli city. Panic tore through the streets of Eilat as the Houthi drone launched from a theatre of war thousands of kilometers away in Yemen smashed home. This was a catastrophic failure of Israeli intelligence and defense. The Iron Dome, the multi-billion-dollar marvel of Western technology, was utterly evaded. Its radar failed to lock. Its interceptors stayed silent in their silos. This is the new calculus of war. Low-cost, long-range drones are carving a path of destruction right past the world's most sophisticated air defense network. It is a stunning, humiliating defeat for the system. The Houthis, defiant as always, claimed responsibility, calling it a successful military operation targeting Israeli installations.
This operation marks the second within the past 24 hours, as the drone Air Force had previously executed a military operation yesterday, Tuesday, using several drones targeting multiple Israeli enemy targets in the areas of al-Rush and Beersheba in southern occupied Palestine.
The Houthis have been launching missiles and drones thousands of kilometers north towards Israel. The Yemen-based group says these are acts of solidarity with the Palestinians. Most of the dozens of missiles and drones launched have been intercepted or have fallen short of Israeli territory. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Shifting focus for now, India fired a thunderbolt from steel rails. The Agni missile roaring into the sky, rewriting the rules of mobility and power. Only 4 nations on Earth command this technology, and India just joined that elite club. Our next report explaining why this missile is called a game changer.
The ground trembled. The skies lit up. India's Agni Prime raced out from the rails. An unstoppable force unleashed. With one launch, India storms into the exclusive club of global missile heavyweights. Rail-based launchers mean missiles can ride hidden through 70,000 kilometers of Indian railway tracks, emerging anywhere, anytime. Then vanish before enemy satellites focus. The sheer unpredictability and speed are game-changing. India now joins an elite list of nations to have this unique technology of launching missiles from a mobile track. Right now, only Russia, the US and China could fire railcar-based intercontinental ballistic missiles. Agni Prime, a next-gen sibling in the Agni missile family, boasts a range of up to 2,000 kilometers, more than enough to cover strategic threats from the region. Agni Prime is the middle punch in a devastating series of Indian missiles. The Agni series anchors India's nuclear deterrence. Agni 1, Agni 2, Agni 3, Agni 4 and powerhouse Agni 5. Each missile a warning to adversaries, each launch a signal to the world. Together they form a layered shield from regional reach to global menace. This rail launch isn't a mere technical footnote, it's a demonstration of India's absolute mobile power executed under a full operational scenario. The message to the adversary is chillingly clear. We can hit you hard wherever we want. You can't hit what you can't find. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.